Hey yo, what's up? Hello everybody.
Christopher Plummer was a legendary Canadian actor whose career spanned over 7 decades, marked by versatility, elegance, and a commanding presence on both stage and screen. Born on December 13, 1929, in Toronto, Ontario, Plummer began his career in the theatre, earning acclaim for his performances in Shakespearean roles. He was a mainstay at prestigious venues like the Stratford Festival in Canada and the Royal Shakespeare Company in the UK. His deep, resonant voice and classical training made him a natural for commanding characters such as Hamlet, Macbeth, and King Lear. Plummer is perhaps best known internationally for his role as Captain Georg von Trapp in the 1965 classic musical The Sound of Music, opposite Julie Andrews. Though the film brought him fame, he was famously ambivalent about the role, preferring more complex, darker characters throughout his career. He earned widespread respect for his work in film, including standout roles in The Man Who Would Be King, 1975, The Insider, 1999, A Beautiful Mind, 2001, Inside Man, 2006, The Last Station, 2009, where he played Leo Tolstoy and earned his first Oscar nomination. Beginners, 2011, which won him his first Academy Award at age 82, making him the oldest person at the time to win an acting Oscar. All the Money in the World, 2017, where he famously replaced Kevin Spacey and received another Oscar nomination. His awards haul included Oscars, Tonys, Emmys, and numerous other honors. Recognizing his extraordinary breadth and longevity in the performing arts, Christopher Plummer passed away on February 5, 2021, at the age of 91. He left behind a legacy defined not just by the range of his roles, but by his enduring commitment to the craft of acting. He was one of the rare actors equally revered in theater, film, and television, a true master of his art. Early life and training. Arthur Christopher Orm Plummer was born into a prominent Canadian family. His great-grandfather was Sir John Abbott, Canada's third Prime Minister. Raised primarily by his mother in Montreal, Plummer was bilingual and initially studied to be a concert pianist before turning to acting in his teens. He was inspired by the works of Shakespeare and by legendary actors like Laurence Olivier and John Gielgud. He never attended formal drama school, instead learning through stage experience and observation, a testament to his natural talent and fierce dedication. Glowing star, a titan of the stage, Plummer's theatrical career was rich and critically acclaimed. He performed at the Stratford Festival in Ontario for decades and was considered one of the greatest classical actors of his time. His stage work includes iconic roles such as Hamlet, King Lear, Iago in Othello, Cyrano de Bergerac, Barrymore, for which he won a Tony. He earned 2 Tony Awards during his career and was nominated multiple times. His voice and physical presence made him a formidable actor in live performance, and he often spoke of his first love being the stage, even as he found success in Hollywood. Clapperboard reinvention in later life. While The Sound of Music made him globally recognizable, Plummer often felt it didn't reflect his true range as an actor. In fact, he jokingly referred to it as the sound of mucus in interviews. Still, he appreciated its legacy and the affection fans had for it. What's truly remarkable is how much of his best film work came later in life. In his 70s and 80s, Plummer seemed to enter a renaissance, bringing gravitas and emotional complexity to a wide variety of roles. Whether playing a widowed man coming out as gay in Beginners, a reclusive billionaire in All the Money in the World, or a scheming patriarch in Knives Out, 2019, he showed that age was no barrier to artistic greatness. Trophy awards and honors. Plummer is one of the few actors to achieve the triple crown of acting, winning an Oscar, Emmy, and Tony. Academy Award, Best Supporting Actor, Beginners. 2012 Tony Awards, for Cyrano and Barrymore. Emmy Awards, 2 wins, including one for The Money Changers, Golden Globe, BAFTA. Screen Actors Guild nominations and wins. He was also made a Companion of the Order of Canada, the country's highest civilian honor. Singer. Personal life and character. Plummer was known for his wit, charisma, and a bit of a mischievous streak. He was married 3 times and had 1 daughter, Amanda Plummer. Herself a talented and acclaimed actress, notably seen in Pulp Fiction and The Hunger Games, Catching Fire. He published a well-received memoir in 2008 titled In Spite of Myself, in which he candidly discussed his career, relationships, and struggles with alcoholism earlier in life. Face mask legacy. Christopher Plummer's legacy is one of class, complexity, and continuous evolution. He could command a stage with Shakespeare or steal scenes in a modern whodunit. Few actors had such a long and varied career while still maintaining high artistic standards. He showed that greatness isn't just about youth or fame, it's about dedication, craft, and daring to keep growing. The actor's actor. Christopher Plummer was known as an actor's actor, someone other performers deeply admired for his command of technique, voice, physicality, and emotional depth. He had an uncanny ability to bring both authority and vulnerability to his roles, whether playing kings or crumbling old men. He often spoke about the importance of truth in performance. Despite being a classical actor, he disliked pomposity or artificiality. He believed acting had to come from a place of authenticity, even if the role was fantastical or heightened. Brain philosophy on acting and art. Plummer once said, "Theater is the most rewarding because it's the closest to the real human experience. You rehearse, you dig deep, you take risks. Film is more about patience. You wait, and then suddenly you must deliver." He also believed in balancing high art with entertainment. While he performed in Shakespearean tragedies, he also lent his voice to animated characters, Up, 9, Rock-a-Doodle, and played complex villains in commercial hits. To him, the craft was what mattered, not the packaging. Face mask collaborations with legends. Throughout his career, Plummer worked with an extraordinary range of directors and co-stars. Directors: Terrence Malick, Michael Mann, Spike Lee, David Fincher, Ron Howard, Ridley Scott, Rian Johnson. Actors: Julie Andrews, Helen Mirren, Russell Crowe, Denzel Washington, Natalie Portman, Christopher Walken, Daniel Craig, and many more. Notably, he developed a close working relationship with Helen Mirren, starring opposite her in The Last Station, where their chemistry and emotional subtlety earned both Oscar nominations. Music score. A love of music. Plummer's early passion was actually music. He trained as a classical pianist before deciding on acting. That musicality never left him. His voice was incredibly musical in its cadence and control. He famously sang in The Sound of Music. But did you know that not all of Captain Von Trapp's vocals were his? Some parts were dubbed by singer Bill Lee, though Plummer sang certain sections himself. Regardless, his performance as the emotionally repressed captain who finds joy again through music was central to the film's enduring power. Clinking glasses. Wit, wild years, and reflection. Plummer was known for his wicked sense of humor and self-deprecating charm. In his earlier years, he had a bit of a reputation as a drinker and rogue, part of the hard-living thespian tradition. He mellowed out later in life but never lost his edge. In his autobiography In Spite of Myself, he writes with candid humor about his adventures on stage and screen, flings, flops, and triumphs, all told with theatrical flair. Books. Legacy in literature and education. He was a staunch supporter of arts education and theater training. the Stratford Festival Theatre in Ontario, where he frequently performed, continues to honor his legacy with performances, tributes, and archival material showcasing his many years of service to the stage. He also performed in audiobooks and dramatic readings of literary works, including the Canterbury Tales and Shakespeare's sonnets, his voice bringing classic literature to life for new generations. DNA an enduring presence even late in life, Christopher Plummer defied expectations. At 88, he stepped into all the money in the world on just 9 days' notice after Kevin Spacey was removed from the film. His performance was so strong, he was nominated for an Oscar, making him, at the time, the oldest person ever nominated for acting. And then at 89, he starred in Knives Out, a fresh, funny, and sharply written film that introduced him to an entirely new generation. Speech balloon memorable quotes by or about Plummer. Chris is a prince among men, a fine actor, and a funny, mischievous soul. Julie Andrews, I love the craft. I love rehearsing. I love playing a role again and again. There's magic in repetition, in trying to get it just a bit more perfect each time. Christopher Plummer, he was old school in the best way, gracious, elegant, a total pro. But he was also deeply curious, modern, and up for anything. Rian Johnson, director of Knives Out. Canada pride of Canada. Though he spent much of his career on international stages and screens, Plummer remained deeply connected to his Canadian roots. He was a proud ambassador for Canadian talent and frequently returned to the Stratford Festival, one of Canada's most prestigious theatre institutions. He received numerous national honours, including Companion of the Order of Canada, the highest civilian honour in the country, Governor-General's Performing Arts Award, star on Canada's Walk of Fame even in his most international roles. He carried a certain quiet Canadian dignity, refined, articulate, and humble, never flashy. Studio microphone voice of a generation. Christopher Plummer had one of the most iconic voices in the industry, rich, resonant, velvety, and authoritative. Directors loved using him for narration and voice work because his delivery brought gravitas and emotion without melodrama. Some notable voice roles and narrations. Narrator in Madeline TV series, his warm voice gave the children's cartoon a timeless, storybook quality villain in 2009 animated film, deep and haunting Charles Muntz in Pixar's Up, 2009, bringing pathos to a character who was both charming and tragic. Audiobooks and documentaries. He read works by Poe, Shakespeare, and more. His voice made him a favorite among audiobook listeners. Open book memoir. In Spite of Myself, Plummer's 2008 memoir is often praised for its elegance, humor, and unflinching honesty. It's not a dry, chronological account. It reads more like sitting down with a very witty raconteur over a scotch by the fire. He shares wild backstage tales, encounters with Hollywood legends, Burton, Hepburn, Olivier, deep personal reflections on insecurity, fame, aging, and art. His regrets, particularly regarding fatherhood and early arrogance. Laugh out loud moments about botched performances and life on the road. He was self-aware and honest about his ego in his youth and grateful for how time softened him and gave him depth, both as an actor and a person. Family man-girl relationship with Amanda Plummer. Christopher Plummer's only child is Amanda Plummer, an accomplished and eccentric actress known for roles in Pulp Fiction, The Fisher King, and The Hunger Games, Catching Fire. Their relationship was complex. He wasn't present much during her childhood due to his career and lifestyle, something he expressed regret about later in life. They reunited when Amanda was already a successful performer in her own right. though their personal bond wasn't always close. They shared a mutual respect as artists, both having reputations for choosing challenging, offbeat roles over mainstream fame. Film frames uncredited gems and missed opportunities. Plummer's filmography is so deep, it's easy to miss some of the fascinating almosts in his career. He turned down roles in films that became classics, like Gandhi and The Lord of the Rings, reportedly offered the role of Gandalf but declined due to the long shooting schedule. He was once considered for James Bond in the early 1960s. He played Rudyard Kipling, Sherlock Holmes, Archduke Ferdinand, Kaiser Wilhelm, and even Julius Caesar, a resume that reads like a tour of Western history and literature. Dubbed final years and passing even in his 90s, Christopher Plummer was still working, still sharp, still giving interviews filled with wit and wisdom. His final film was Heroes of the Golden Masks, voice role, released posthumously, and his last on-screen role was in Knives Out, 2019. He passed away on February 5, 2021, after a fall at his home in Weston, Connecticut. His wife of over 50 years, Elaine Taylor, was by his side. The outpouring of tributes from across the film and theater worlds spoke volumes about the respect he commanded. Candle Legacy Summary: Christopher Plummer wasn't just a great actor. He was a bridge between classical and contemporary performance, proof that artists can evolve, improve, and remain vital into their 80s and 90s. A man of great intelligence, complexity, humor, and warmth, an icon of Canadian culture, world theatre, and international cinema. A reminder that aging isn't a decline, it's an expansion of depth and mastery. A true chameleon, Christopher Plummer wasn't one of those actors who disappeared into every role. You always knew it was Plummer. But somehow, he still transformed every time. It wasn't about vanishing into a character, it was about inhabiting it with authenticity and authority. He didn't rely on prosthetics, accents, or gimmicks. He relied on depth, timing, and intelligence. His strength lay in subtlety. His silences were as expressive as his speeches. He could convey aristocratic charm and deep loneliness in the same breath. He had a way of making even a few lines feel Shakespearean. You see it in The Insider, where he plays CBS anchor Mike Wallace, razor-sharp, commanding, proud. Or in The Last Station, where his Tolstoy is torn between philosophy, love, and mortality. It's not showy, it's human. Puzzle piece master of many genres, Plummer's versatility was quietly mind-blowing. He worked across musicals, The Sound of Music, historical dramas, Waterloo, The Last Station, The Man Who Would Be King, psychological thrillers, The Silent Partner, The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, animation and family films, Up, Rock-a-Doodle, science fiction, Star Trek VI, The Undiscovered Country, where he played a Shakespeare-quoting Klingon general, comedy, Knives Out, war films, Battle of Britain, Aces High, The Exception, horror and supernatural, Drag Me to Hell. Dolores Claiborne. Few actors could pull off Shakespeare and sci-fi in the same year, and be excellent in both. That was the Plummer paradox. Elite, yet approachable. Classically trained, yet fun as hell. Necktie the Gentleman Rogue. Plummer had what you'd call old-school charm, but never in a dusty or outdated way. He had a rakish glint in his eye, charming, clever, and slightly dangerous. It made him magnetic. He could play authority figures without being boring, villains without being cartoonish, and romantics without being sappy. And he didn't take himself too seriously. Even as he aged, he retained a sense of mischief. He once said, "I've become a much better actor now that I'm older. I'm less afraid to be vulnerable, more willing to take risks, and frankly, I've run out of SHTS to give." Candle tributes after his death. When Plummer died in 2021, tributes poured in from every corner of the industry. Julie Andrews called him a consummate actor and a cherished friend. Spike Lee posted a photo of them on the set of Inside Man, calling him a giant. Rian Johnson wrote, "He was everything you'd hope a legend would be, kind, gracious, and wickedly funny." Helen Mirren described him as a national treasure, not just in Canada, but everywhere. And fans? They remembered everything, not just the big films, but the voice roles, the stage work, the unexpected cameos. That's the mark of a true cultural figure. People connect with you across decades and mediums. Shooting star cultural icon, not just an actor over time. Christopher Plummer became more than an actor. He became a symbol of elegance, intelligence, and artistic integrity. He was one of those rare performers who gave everything weight. When he spoke, it mattered. When he was on screen, you watched him, even if he wasn't speaking. And he was a late bloomer icon too. He got his first Oscar nomination at 80, his first win at 82, and his last nomination at 88. He showed the world that you don't age out of relevance. In fact, you can get even sharper with time. TV. Where to start watching Plummer? Want to do a deep dive into his work? Here's a curated list of different sides of Plummer. Musical note: The Sound of Music, 1965, the classic face mask. The Tempest, 2012, Stratford Shakespeare Festival version, as Prospero Brain. The Insider, 1999, Powerful and Restrained Heart. Beginners, 2011, touching, brave, and Oscar-winning puzzle piece. Knives Out, 2019, sharp, playful, modern scroll. The Last Station, 2009, his rich, layered Tolstoy Black Heart. The Silent Partner, 1978, a hidden gem. Dark and Delicious Ringed Planet. Star Trek VI, The Undiscovered Country, 1991, just for fun, honestly. Headphone Madeline, TV series, 1993 to 2001, a cozy voice from many people's childhoods. Christopher Plummer wasn't just a brilliant actor. He was proof that greatness doesn't require ego, that art doesn't require fame, and that a life in the arts is a life of constant rediscovery.
Christopher Plummer là một diễn viên huyền thoại người Canada có sự nghiệp kéo dài hơn 7 thập kỷ, được đánh dấu bằng sự linh hoạt, thanh lịch và sự hiện diện đầy uy quyền trên cả sân khấu và màn ảnh. Sinh ngày 13 tháng 12 năm 1929 tại Toronto, Plummer bắt đầu sự nghiệp của mình trong nhà hát, nhận được sự hoan nghênh cho các vai diễn của mình trong các vở kịch Shakespeare. Ông là trụ cột tại các địa điểm uy tín như Liên hoan Stratford ở Canada và công ty Royal Shakespeare ở Vương quốc Anh. Giọng hát sâu lắng, vang dội và sự đào tạo cổ điển của ông đã giúp ông trở thành người tự nhiên cho các nhân vật uy quyền như Hamlet, Macbeth và vua Lear. Bye bye. Thanks for watching.